Hey, this is the Recklessly Skeptical Podcast. My name's Matt.
I'm Joe.
And this is Josh.
You can find this podcast on Spreaker and on YouTube, Recklessly Skeptical. You can also find our other YouTube channels, ZZZ, Giant Awake, and The Evil Atheist. Also, come join us on Facebook at the Evil Atheist Closed Group. You have to request to join, and we would maybe let you in.
If you're real nice and say nice things.
Stroke my ego, please.
Today's March 20th, 2016, and we have some stories to discuss.
Oh, yeah. So, the science story is coming from Sunday Express, UK. It was published March 18th, 2016. The science story is scientists closer to cloning T-Rex after discovering remains of pregnant dinosaur. While dinosaur bones do contain some DNA, the bone known as the medullary bone that grows in female dinosaurs during pregnancy will contain a lot more DNA. Lindsay Zano, assistant research professor of biological sciences at North Carolina State University, said that it is possible that the dinosaur and its egg contains the necessary DNA, which is the building blocks for life, to take scientists a step closer to reintroducing dinosaurs to the world. This is some Jurassic Park shit right here, people.
So, my question is, and I'm all for exploring and science and doing all this shit. But why do we want T-Rex?
Duh. Haven't you seen Jurassic Park?
Yeah, it doesn't end very well.
Well, duh. It's really cool stuff, man.
No,
I want to
cool.
go see a fucking dinosaur. If you got the opportunity to go see a fucking T-Rex, would you go?
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Exactly. That's why they're doing it. Think about it, man.
Yeah, so that's interesting because, and maybe my understanding of this is incorrect, but I don't know if we can get 100% DNA back from that time period, even if it were, like, because DNA breaks down, like, so say I die and you find me 1,000 years later, even if I'm preserved, you might not be able to get a full sample of my DNA.
Well, let's finish. I'm going to finish reading the article.
Okay.
All right, so while the technology is not quite there to fully reproduce the likes of a fearsome T-Rex, experts hope that the fossils they have harbored may one day come in use to resurrecting them. Ms. Zano told Discovery News, "We have some evidence that fragments of DNA may be preserved in dinosaur fossils, but this remains to be tested further." Scientists are familiar, Charwin, with the medullary bone, as it also present in the descendants of dinosaurs such as chickens and female reptiles when they are about to give birth. Ms. Zano continued, "It's a special tissue that is built up as easily mobilized calcium storage just before egg laying. The outcome is that birds do not have to pull calcium from the main part of their bones in order to shell the eggs, weakening their bones the way crocodiles do. Medullary bone is thus present just before and during egg laying, but it is entirely gone after the female has finished laying eggs. The T-Rex that the team found was discovered in Montana, USA, and dates back 68 million years and was between 16 and 20 years old. The news that scientists have found some key DNA comes shortly after it was announced that experts from the University of Chile managed to grow dinosaur legs on a chicken. Experts modified the genes in a chicken embryo to develop the dinosaur-esque fibulas in their lower legs.
I have heard, and it's probably that chili story, that they put it inside another animal. And I thought it was a chicken when I was thinking about it. And they produce some sort of hybrid, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's way interesting. All right, I'm going to hurry and finish it up. Just two more paragraphs. Avian dinosaurs such as the Archaeopteryx or whatever had tubular fibulas which reached all the way down to the ankle alongside the tibia, as opposed to chicken fibulas which only go about 3/4 of the way down the tibia. Chickens look very similar to dinosaurs when they are developing in the egg, so the researchers shut off a bone a maturation gene called IHH, or Indian hedgehog, which meant the chicken developed long tubular fibulas like dinosaurs.
Yeah, and they have pictures of it. It doesn't look like a dinosaur leg. Like, you don't see a reptile leg. You see something that looks like a strange chicken leg. But the structure of the bones is a lot different. And I'm looking at that.
I know dinosaurs, they've realized, or now they believe, more related to birds than reptiles.
Yeah. The closest living relative to the Tyrannosaurus Rex is a chicken. Just remember that every time you eat chicken, you're like, yeah, motherfucker.
I'm eating dinosaur.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's awesome.
It is. That's the pretty cool science story of the week.
So they're not quite there yet, but they're going to try and preserve it, and maybe sometime in the future they can do something with it.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Technology is going to be more and more advanced. The more DNA they get from dinosaurs, the more they can see what protein is turned on, what protein is turned off, and then they can manipulate genes in other animals and put some of that DNA inside other animals and try to create a dinosaur. Eventually, one day, it'll probably happen. Hopefully, it'll be in our lifetime. I would like to see a dinosaur. I know they're trying to clone mammoth. They're trying to find mammoth DNA, and they want to clone it with, or put it inside an elephant or whatever, and that would be cool. I would like to see a mammoth.
To answer my question earlier of why would they do this, it just kind of dawned on me that there's lots of reasons why. And one, when we were trying to figure out the age of the Earth, that's how we found out that lead was poisoning everybody.
Yeah.
So science, whether it's inadvertently or not, brings us,
the governor of Flint
information
doesn't
and
think
knowledge.
Lead poisons people.
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, up his stupid ass.
All right, should we move on?
Sure.
All right, guys, so I have a story. It's coming from Raw Story. A Texas lawmaker billed taxpayers for a trip to Oklahoma to get a pain-relieving shot called the Jesus shot. So I'm going to read this to you because there's just a bunch of shit this guy did. It's pretty bad. So, quote, a Republican lawmaker has come under fire for billing taxpayers for a trip to Oklahoma to supposedly conduct state business when the actual purpose of the trip was to get a so-called Jesus shot from an Oklahoma City man who calls himself Dr. Mike.
Oh, God.
According to the Houston Chronicle, Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller took the trip in 2015 to see John Michael Lonergan to receive the controversial but legal medication which Lonergan claims takes away all pain for life. Sounds believable. In an earlier interview, Miller admitted that he had received the shot and refused to divulge details, but conceded, "It's worked out good."
It worked out good.
The Chronicle reports that Lonergan moved to Oklahoma over a decade ago after losing his Ohio medical license due to felony tax evasion, and that he occasionally works out of the Priceless Beauty Spa in Kingfisher, Oklahoma. Sounds legit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Miller also stated that he paid for the trip and the $300 shot himself. However, a review of travel records show taxpayers picked up the $1,120 tab for flights and a rental car for Miller and an aid to travel to Oklahoma, where Miller claims he toured the Oklahoma National Stockyards and met with Oklahoma lawmakers as well as the state's top agriculture official. Those officials state that never happened.
Oh, my God.
And they only briefly met with Miller for a handshake and a photo op, which Miller's office posted on Facebook. And it just goes on. There's a history with this guy of doing this type of shit in the past. So, yeah, he used tax dollar money to get a Jesus shot from Dr. Mike.
I take it he's conservative?
I do not. No.
You do not? No. It doesn't matter, though, because he could very well be a Democrat as well, because that's the thing, man. A lot of these politicians are just like that. They're taking our tax money, instead of putting it to use of the people, they spend it on themselves.
But they need a shot of Jesus in their butt, man.
I want a shot of Jesus in my butt.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah?
What's the difference between Jesus and a picture of Jesus?
What?
It only takes one nail to hang up the picture. Hey, what's Jesus' least favorite candy?
What?
M&M's.
Why?
Oh.
Oh, that's messed up.
All right.
That's awesome. So let me just read a little more from this article.
I'm sorry.
Upon taking office in 2015, Miller hired 4 friends and campaign aides to new $180,000 a year jobs without opening the application process to the public.
Jeez.
Additionally, Miller has billed taxpayers for first-class airfare, charged the state for cocktails, and billed the state for a trip to Fort Worth for a TV interview that he claims was canceled after he arrived.
You know what? This sounds exactly like the DNC.
Yeah, either way, this guy's a douche. This guy sounds like... I mean...
He even looks like a douche. Look, he's got his cowboy hat. And can you imagine him getting a Jesus shot in his ass?
Oh, yeah. Woo-hoo, Texas. So, that's the problem here, people. You need... A lot of us don't want to pay attention to politicians because they're corrupt and they're stupid and we don't like them, so we don't pay attention. But then shit like this starts happening. That's why you do need to pay attention to your politicians, and that's locally and federally. Just pay attention to what's going on. Find out who is good for who. If a politician is running, find out if he's good for you, or if she's good for you, or if they're good for somebody else and not the people. And then vote accordingly. Don't let these people get into office. We got to make it so that they won't even try to run because they know they'll be found out and will fail.
And that's the thing. It's so easy to get involved in local politics nowadays that you just join a Facebook group and you talk to people about the local politicians, and the local politicians are the ones who are the most wasteful with money because they have the least amount of accountability. So they'll take the flights. They'll use taxpayers' money misappropriately. Charwin. But
all
right, but let's move forward for the sake of time.
Alrighty, so we have another great story. An Idaho sheriff, he says there's no need for rape kits since most rape accusations are false.
So this is gonna fucking piss me off. Continue.
An Idaho sheriff isn't sure why the state is so hell-bent on creating a system to collect and track rape kits, since most rape accusations are false. Bingham County Sheriff Craig Rowland was reacting to a proposed bill, HB 528, which would create what Representative Melissa Wintrow, who introduced the bill, describes as a minimal standard for rape kits. It requires that the Idaho State Police Forensic Services laboratory test all of them, creates new timelines for how long the police have to send and test them, and set up a victim notification service so that survivors know where their kit has gone and what's happening to it. That's completely reasonable. Like, all it is we're going to test them and let you know how it's going. Because I know I've heard in lots of states all over the country, they have hundreds, thousands of rape kits that are just sitting there. Nobody's fucking testing them.
Now this is where so Matt and me have discussed this. I feel comfortable with the title of feminist, egalitarianist, and anti-feminist, but those seem like they're self-contradictory. And here's how I don't think so. I'm a feminist because I feel like women are disadvantaged in a number of different ways, especially when it comes to women's health and to rape accusations and shit like this. And this is also what pisses me off about feminists, is they're busy talking about the bullshit that's happening in video games. Like, that shit doesn't really matter. It's just a fucking game.
Yeah.
And instead of holding assholes like this guy accountable to process these fucking rape kits, when rape is one of the most underreported crimes in America, instead of holding this douchebag accountable, they're going off on video games. Like, that fucking matters. And fuck this guy. Like, if you don't think that rape is something that and these are criminals who walk. Like,
Yeah.
this is why we have serial rapists. It's because we don't use the tools we have to prosecute rape aggressively, and then we pursue the wrong cases. We talk about, like, it's such a clusterfuck. The feminists and the Republicans, and they're all just busy trying to make their fucking dollar instead of focusing on shit that actually matters. If we held Republicans, because Republicans are far worse than Democrats on this issue.
Yeah.
If we held Republicans fucking accountable for the shit that they do in regards to women's health and in regards to prosecution of like understanding and prosecuting people based on rape and shit like that, like, this might be a completely different world that we live in, and really, I want to get it to a point where feminism, like atheism, this is kind of the goal, is no longer a label that needs to be used, no longer a label that's applicable, because women won't be disadvantaged. There won't be people trying to force women to carry children who are in their first trimester, like, or travel clear across state lines to try and get to a fucking Planned Parenthood or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, this is what pisses me off the most about both sides of that argument.
And so the bill is to make it so these rape kits get tested and the victims can track and know where it is. So the guy, this fucking jackass, said, this is what he said in response to the bill. Quote, "They need to let us decide if we're going to send the kit and when we send the kits in, because the majority of our rapes, not to say that we don't have rapes, we do, but the majority of our rapes that are called in are actually consensual sex."
This guy needs to be able to be prosecuted for this shit. Like, how fucking mad would you be if your daughter got raped and when you went and like, you did the only thing you could, you went into a hospital and you had a rape kit processed. And then the fucking guy who's in charge, the governor's like, oh, we're not going to fund fucking processing these kits because it's more likely than not a false accusation. This is probably consensual. Your daughter probably had consensual sex and she's lying to you now.
He's probably been going around raping people.
Like, oh my God. Like, there's few things that really make me physically angry, and this is one of them. Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know how you can have any woman who matters to you in your life and not be fucking outraged by this shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, it's pretty bad.
I don't know. This guy's probably been raping people for years, and then this whole thing came up, and he was like, no, we don't need rape kits because then I'll get caught.
It doesn't matter. He should be able to put his politics aside. And I like, you're going a little too far to say he's probably been raping people. I mean, who knows? Maybe he had consensual sex with somebody, and he had a bad experience because she called rape later, and then he has this really weird taste in his mouth from it, so he thinks that most of the time it's consensual.
So I want to read one of the comments on this story. First they quote him and then they respond.
Okay, so I'm going to go.
They quote him with, "Things just went too far and someone got scared." And that's what the guy said. And then this person responds with, "If things went too far, isn't that rape?"
Yeah. It sounds like
exactly.
an admittance of guilt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So do you guys want to talk about that?
I said what I need to say.
Yeah, I hate hearing about shit like that. I hate hearing about stupid politicians who obviously don't give a shit about people, because obviously he doesn't. And that's another thing. That's the thing. If, let's say, 99% of them are consensual and end up being like that, you should still supply rape kits for that small 1% where it is actually rape. You know what I mean? Even if that was the case, because if you can stop a rapist, you should.
Yeah, and the women,
the option should be there.
The women should be able to go forth to prosecution without having some fucking bureaucrat in the middle.
Yes,
exactly.
And whether it's a true claim or a false claim, that should be able to be decided by a jury or whatever in court.
Yeah, and the rape kit,
judge.
And the jury understands, most juries understand that the rape kit, all it does is identify the person who they had sex with or who had sex with them or who raped them. I mean, it should be pretty clear that that's what it does. Like, all they're doing is DNA testing semen. That's it. So it's not an admittance of guilt to have a rape kit processed, and yeah.
Yeah, it's a joke. I can't stand people like this. They need to. Where is this coming out of? Idaho.
This is Idaho. Yeah, our
All right,
neighbors
so if
to the north.
Yeah, if we have any friends up in Idaho, figure out who your politicians are, and if they're douchebags like this, get rid of them.
Yeah, bury them. Go throw them in the ocean.
Yeah,
tie a brick around their neck.
Alrighty, so our next story is coming out of Kentucky. This story was published on March 14th. Kentucky legislation allows discrimination against atheists. For, guess what their reasoning is?
Religious freedom?
Sincerely held religious beliefs. So, and we kind of touched about a story like this last week, where if they have sincerely held religious beliefs, they can not let people into their businesses, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the wording is very vague in this bill. It's Senate Bill 180. So basically, they could discriminate against interracial couples, blacks, whites, whatever, atheists.
Muslims.
For sincerely held religious beliefs. Senate Bill 180. It's titled An Act Relating to the Protection of Rights.
Oh my gosh. No, it fucking...
So it creates a statewide group of protected activities and protected activity providers to afford immunity from any federal or state laws. So there's laws in place against discrimination, but they will be able to ignore those laws if they have
extreme religious beliefs.
Yeah, so if I have a sincerely held spaghetti monster belief that I have to get pizza after all the pizza places are closed, do I get to make them make me a pizza?
No, it's so that's one of so these things are usually in favor of business owners and stuff like that. Not
I know. I was just making a joke.
Yeah. I wish that I could have a pizza.
You know what? No, let's find some of these business owners. So this is a bill that hasn't passed yet, right?
I believe it hasn't passed.
If it does pass, what we should do is find all the Kentucky businesses who accepted this law and who are using it, and just find ways to fuck with them because of it. Like if it's a pizza joint, be like, look, I need to have pizza at noon or midnight every night, and just call them up and leave messages and
I think the better way to go around it is to start a Yelp campaign and just vote them down to 1 star.
Okay, yeah.
So I know we talked about it last week where there's protected services or services that people need. That they have to give those services.
Yeah.
Like housing and all that. So in here it says that protected activities means actions by people commissioned, employed, hired, retained, or otherwise used by the public or the government to provide customized, artistic, expressive, creative, or spiritual goods or services or judgments or other commissions that involve protected rights. Protected activity provider means a person who provides protected activities. It's kind of redundant.
Yeah.
But, so I don't know. Even this article says the writing is very vague. So I'm not sure if this is going to allow people.
Well, see that the way that it's worded from the way you read it, if that's the final wording, that means you can legally shoot up heroin if it's your strongly held religious belief, because you can ignore laws, is what it's saying. You can have sex with prostitutes if it's your deeply held religious belief, if you can ignore laws.
There's a little more I can read. Protected rights means the rights of persons to be free from governmental actions that impair, impede, infringe upon, or otherwise restrict the exercise of any right guaranteed by the United States Constitution or the Constitution of Kentucky, including but not limited to a person's right of conscience, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and right to peaceably assemble.
Yeah, and that also means that you could hold a rally every day if you wanted to, because it's your
it's your right.
Yeah, it's your religious belief.
Yep, so dumb. As long as you have sincerely held convictions, religious convictions. That's all that matters.
Yeah, you can break any law.
That trumps the Constitution.
Yeah. All right, so let's, since we don't have much more time, let's quickly talk about the Supreme Court nominee.
Yeah, Judge Merrick Garland.
Yeah, Merrick Garland is the one. So there's been this weird situation since when we talked about this a few weeks ago with the death of Scalia. Merrick Garland was named last week by President Obama as Scalia's replacement, and Garland is definitely not who I would want as a nominee.
Yeah.
This is Barack playing politics, supposedly. He's playing three-dimensional chess. It's kind of silly, but Merrick Garland is somebody who's a centrist who tends to lean pro-guns, and he's not pro-corporation is what it looks like. There's not enough information on him that I've seen to say that that's definitely the way that he leans, but to have the support that he had going into the circuit court in Washington, or the D.C. court in Washington, it's really likely that he had that. I'm trying to think that he had that background that corporate right-winged people are talking about.
Yeah.
Like in the first half hour of the show, I talked about Orrin Hatch. Orrin Hatch is Utah's representative, completely pro-business, very far right-wing, anti-abortion, pro-guns, all that stuff. And being pro-guns in and of itself isn't a disqualifying factor. It's taking NRA money to absolutely block any progress on guns where we think that there should be background checks and stuff like that.
Yeah, Orrin Hatch said before Obama nominated Merrick Garland, Orrin Hatch said, quote, "The president told me several times he's going to name a moderate to fill the court vacancy, but I don't believe him. Obama could easily name Merrick Garland, who is a fine man. He probably won't do that because this appointment is about the election. So I'm pretty sure he'll name someone the liberal Democratic base wants." So Obama ends up nominating this guy who Orrin Hatch has praised in the past as well.
Yeah,
and now they're still like,
and I have
nope, not going to do it.
And I have those quotes here. This is again Orrin Hatch at an earlier time. This is during his seating or his appointment to the D.C. court. Merrick B. Garland is highly qualified to sit on the D.C. court. His intelligence and his scholarship cannot be questioned. His legal experience is equally impressive. Accordingly, I believe Mr. Garland is a fine nominee. I know him personally. I know of his integrity. I know of his legal ability. I know of his honesty. I know of his acumen, and he belongs on the court. I believe that he is not only a fine nominee, but is as good as Republicans can expect from this administration. In fact, I'd place him at the top of the list. So
hypocrites.
Yeah, and Chuck Grassley. So these are all people who spoke in support of Garland back when he was going to the circuit court. Senator Chuck Grassley, Senator Jeff Sessions, and these are all Republicans, mind you. Then Senator John Kyle, then Senator Storm Thurmond, and then Senator Conrad Burns, and then meaning when they made the quote and when he was elected to the D.C. circuit.
So what do you think they're doing? Do you think they're holding out, hoping for a Republican president? And
this is the game that they've been playing. They're obstructionists. All they want to do is make everything that Obama does. They don't want to. So I think that in a parallel universe, Mitt Romney got elected. Romney Care comes into place. The Republicans are all praising Romney Care at this point.
Yeah,
they're all talking about how Merrick Garland is a great nominee from Mitt Romney.
Yeah,
and how they're so proud that there was no progress forward on gun rights, and that would be exactly the same effect that we have now, except the Republicans would be praising Mitt Romney in the exact same way that they're going against President Obama.
Okay.
So yeah,
it's a joke.
It is. They're obstructionists, and this is why they have such a low. Because everybody knows that these guys are fucking douchebags.
Yeah.
Like, so you hear about Congress's 18% approval rating,
yeah,
or 14% approval rating, somewhere in that ball field. And you're like, oh, maybe it's we hate all politicians. But then you look at Barack Obama's approval rating, and it has gone up to 52%. Barack Obama is more popular than he is unpopular, as opposed to the Senate, which is 18%. Like, if a business had that type of approval rating, they'd be out of business.
Yeah, they wouldn't exist.
Yeah, because that means only 1 in 5 could even stand going into your stores.
Yeah.
But that's our Congress. So, yeah, do you guys have anything else to say before? Oh, and the other thing is, like, so it's Obama's job, yeah, as being president. Like, it would be if he threw his hands up and said, "Oh, I'm not going to do anything because the Republicans are going to be obstructionists," he would not be doing his job.
Yeah. So he has to keep trying.
Yeah, so he has to try. Like, that's his job. And it's also the job of the Senate to review any nominees that Barack Obama puts up. They can review it and then decline that nominee.
Yeah.
That usually requires them actually putting out statements, so that's probably why they refuse to even review it. But they're not doing their fucking job. They've failed us in so many different ways. They've failed us from moving forward, even on issues that both Republicans and Democrats agree on, like background checks on guns. Republicans, when it's put to them as a question, not should we take guns away or anything like that, if it was proposed by a Republican, they overwhelmingly agreed that there should be background checks. And same with Democrats. Democrats, we're not these. Most of us are not these guys who want to take your guns away. We're mostly guys who want just background checks, and we can't get that passed through this absolute failed, fucked up Senate that we have.
Yeah, let's vote these fuckers out, man.
Hoorah.
Yeah. All right, Matt, you got anything else to say?
No. I'm just looking at some of the polls in New York and Utah, and
I was thinking you were looking at porn.
just makes me sad.
What? Why?
Makes me
what
sad
are the polls
too.
saying?
New York, let's see, where is it? Clinton and Sanders. Clinton plus 48. 71-23.
Oh, dude, these polls don't matter. The New York poll we're talking about April 19th. That's a month away. Don't even worry about that New York poll at this point. Also, the Arizona poll is a little bit off. So, and it's a single poll. I'm not. I usually am the one to bring up polling before the show, and so that I can talk about it, because I love polls. I love polling, but there's no polls that matter that are out right now.
And in Utah, for the Republicans, Cruz is 53, Kasich 29, Trump 11.
Yeah, and then one interesting thing on the Republican side is that if you win, this is the same with New York on the Republican side, is they have a qualified winner takes all. If you have more than 50% of the vote, you get 100% of the delegates. Huh. So Utah, that's why we're getting all this love all of a sudden.
Okay.
Bernie was going to come here regardless, because Bernie goes to every state.
Yeah.
Hillary didn't come here because she doesn't give a fuck about Utahns, and there are 33 delegates because we're just 33 delegates. But the point is that on the Republican side, if they can get 50% of the vote, then they take all of our delegates, and we're worth more to the Republicans than we are to the Democrats for some weird reason.
Huh.
Also, New York is going to be really important for the Republican side, because if Donald Trump gets more than 50% of the vote at that point, at that stage, by the time that rolls around, Cruz most likely will be at a point where it's mathematically impossible for him to win, straight up. And so then he would only be a protest candidate to go into a brokered convention, which is never happened before, but we might see that this year if they force the brokered convention. Because John Kasich, at this point, say he were to win every vote moving forward, he still wouldn't be the nominee.
He still wouldn't catch up to Trump.
No, he would catch up to Trump. He would pass Trump if he got 100% of the votes moving forward.
Okay.
But for him to make it into to win straight up, he would have to win 105% of the remaining votes, or the remaining delegates.
So more than there.
Yeah, more than there are.
Okay.
So he's essentially running to, and I think that Kasich is sticking in until New York to try and stop Trump from sweeping the delegate count there, because at that point then Cruz cannot win straight up. He would have to go to a brokered convention.
Okay.
Well, in New York, I don't know. You said we got to wait because it's a month, but Trump's 64%.
Yeah,
Cruz is 12. Kasich is 1.
I mean, this would be like talking about the New Hampshire polls in December. It's not that important. All right. Anything else that we want to talk about before we wrap it up?
I don't know. I really have to use the bathroom.
Okay. All right. We're at 35 minutes anyway, so let's wrap this bad boy up. So thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, we love you guys.
Please share, like, subscribe, all that stuff.
And join us on the Evil Atheist Facebook group page.
And check our other YouTube channels, ZZZ, Giant Awake, and The Evil Atheists.
All right, and take care until next week. And remember to think passionately.
Bye.
Peace.